Obviously, Scott, exciting. You've been here before with a different driver. Tell us a little bit about the difference between your championship last year with Chris Buescher and what you had here today with Daniel Suarez.
I mean, I guess this one is a lot different. Last year came in with a points cushion, totally different mentality of how to run the race. And this year we knew we had to be fast from the get-go. Had to get track position up front to start the race, had to stay there. Really felt like we had to win the race to walk out of here with the championship. So, like I say, a lot different.
Well, kind of to that point, tell us a little bit about how the chase format impacted the race today compared to last year's championship.
I mean, I feel like it's pretty exciting. I know from my point it was pretty stressful to sit there and go through that. I mean, all four cars were right there for so much of the race. So it was close. You know, it came down to, I feel like having you know, the set of stickers there at the end when a lot of others had to put some scuffs on. And a lot of that just comes down to luck at that point, but pretty exciting from my end to be part of it.
Well, congratulations again. Questions from the media. We'll start over here, Kyle, and any other questions? Second over to Bob, and then we'll go to Jim.
Kyle Magda, ESPN Albuquerque, and the Racing Experts. Scott, can you just talk about coming into this race this year and last year? Like what David said about the championship format, did you sleep at all? Were you thinking about all the possible scenarios this time around, knowing that your driver had to win or possibly win the race to win the championship this year? Yeah,
was a little nervous for sure coming into the weekend. You know, last weekend was nervous because we knew we had to get through that race to be here, and then knowing what we were going to have to do here today. You know, just the unknown, I guess, of not knowing how it's going to turn out definitely makes you think about it a lot. Thought about, you know, yesterday, last night, what we needed to do and where we need to be in the race. So, yeah, definitely, I'd say it's more stressful this way than the other.
Okay, we'll go over to Bob, then to Jim, and then Chris Knight.
Can you talk? Daniel's obviously improved a lot this year. Would there have been a point this year during this season where you maybe wouldn't have had the confidence he could hold people off like he did tonight?
You know, I mean, early on in the year, that was some of our struggles. Really was starting the race where we needed to be, and a lot of times you'd see us fall back and kind of struggle throughout a race, and then get it right and come back. Yeah, what he showed tonight, I mean, I thought was really impressive. We didn't have the best long run car, had a really good short run car, so he would use that and get out front. But you know, he was holding them off when he had to, and you know, the thing that we talked about is his strength is just remaining calm, taking care of the car. And you looked at a lot of those times we were out front and those guys were pressing us behind. Well, they kept hitting the wall, and you know, he just kept driving his line and didn't hit the wall. So that's really what he just focused on, was running his race, taking care of it, and made sure we were there at the end.
Okay, we'll go to Jim, then Chris, then Kenny.
Jim Mutter, motorsport.com. Two quick questions. First, what were you thinking when you saw the 14 cars stay out at the end of the race?
I don't know. I mean, everyone's got to have a shot to win the race and try to get there however they need to do it. Yeah, I mean, a tough situation, but you know, it's part of racing. I mean, there's 40 cars trying to win a race, not just 4 trying to win the championship. And that's the unique part about this format, is it's not just, you know, the 4 cars going against each other. There's a whole field, and they all want to win a race, and I can't fault them for it.
And kind of following up on Bob's question, it really seemed not only that the performance kind of got better as the season went on, but can you talk a little bit about Daniel's development as a driver while you worked with him this season?
Yeah, I mean, it's when you look at the start of the year, and you know, he might struggle on restarts at times. He really worked on that. You know, it's really it's amazing to work with him, because he's always wanting to learn. You know, he knows he's relatively new to the sport, and then he has a lot to learn. So he takes that feedback, you know, very, very well. So we talked about restarts early in the year. We got to get better on restarts. That's affecting us. So he got that and got the restarts, and then you know, then we moved on to, all right, now we got to get our starting balance at the beginning of the race right, so that we're not falling back throughout a race and having to work on it and get our way back. We knew we need, to win races, you got to be able to stay up front, maintain that track position, and so we worked really hard on that and made a lot of progress there as well. So he's, like I say, he likes to learn, he soaks it up, and he's shown a lot of improvement.
All right, we'll go to Kenny Bruce and then over to Reed. And we are now joined by the owner, driver champion, Joe Gibbs from Joe Gibbs Racing as well.
Kenny Bruce with NASCAR.com. Scott, sort of along those lines, could you see Daniel's confidence pick up after the Michigan win? Did that make any difference whatsoever in his approach and demeanor at the track?
No, definitely. I even felt like before that, I mean, we'd been so close on a lot of weekends, showing so much speed, and something would happen during the race, and we didn't get there. And it almost felt like before that, he was starting to question a little bit. So when he won at Michigan and the way he did it, I mean, I think that was kind of a good, it was a turning point. And then you saw through the rest of the year, a lot more consistent, a lot, stronger races. So I definitely think that helped.
All right, we'll go down here to Reed Spencer and then back to Chris Knight.
This one's actually for Coach. This team has accomplished a lot of milestones with Daniel, but you have a chance to accomplish one that's pretty special tomorrow, I would say, and that's to win 2 championships with the same sponsor possibly, and one that's relatively new. What would that mean to the organization?
I got to tell you, like I said yesterday when we were talking and we were in here, our sport, what's really different, and I can't emphasize this enough, is our sponsors. Because other sports, you're going to play them, you don't have to have a sponsor, but over here we know we do. And to think that we sat down really 2 years ago with Eris, one of the most accomplished businesses. Bob Stangione, Bruce was here tonight, Peter, the whole group was here. And for them to have a chance to be a part of this, I think that's really what's special about this sport and what I love about it. It's those relationships, and it's you sit down and meet with them when you think about it. I met with Bob at the Atlanta airport, and we sat in a room in there and talked over things. And for him to be willing to step out with their company and, support us with the resources that they have, just a huge step for him. And then for us to be able to have a night like tonight for them is just really special. And then tomorrow we'll be back out there with Carl and have a chance. But I can't really, express how important that is for us, because that's what we survive on. And so they're really a partner and an integral part of this. I called Norm Miller tonight. He was on that car. We had Stanley Black & Decker. FlexVolt was on that car for a race. Juniper, another technology company, was on that car. And for all of them, they were all here. And so that's so important for us. I can't emphasize enough. And Daniel's a great representative. I think the thing about drivers here, the athletes we have here in NASCAR, what's special about them is they represent corporations. And when you stop and think about that, huge corporations have a lot at stake. And for them to represent them in the right way is so important for us. And so I think that's a unique bond, and Daniel is so good with them and all the things that he does and interacts with them and their employees. So I appreciate you mentioning that, because it is so important to us.
All right, we'll go over to Chris Knight and over here to the left after that. And we are, of course, joined by our champion, Daniel Suarez.
Chris Knight, catchfence.com. Congratulations to you guys on the championship. Coach, I was just wondering if you could talk about your first time that you heard about Daniel Suarez and what made you want to bring him to Joe Gibbs Racing, and then I'll follow up.
Yeah. Well, what happens in our sport is, everybody know, you start out in the smaller series. Daniel started out in go-karts. I didn't know anything about him, but obviously raced in the Mexican series down there, and had a big supporter in Carlos. They came up Can-Am series. And then I always remember I was at my office, and I got a phone call one day, and it was from FedEx. And they obviously did a lot of work with Carlos Slim, and they said, would you host a meeting? They want to have a meeting. And I said, who's that? They said, Carlos Slim. I went, what? And you Google that and you go, oh my gosh, what's he want to meet with me for? So we had a great discussion, went down and visited him. And then that's one of the great things about our sport, the people you get to meet. And it's been an awesome thing. I thought that's 2 years ago and for us to be here tonight. But anyway, Daniel came up to the Mexican Series, then K&N, and then, of course, some truck. And we saw him coming out of that. And Jimmy Morales and Carlos were so sold on him and his talent that it made a big impression on us. And so we started with the truck series, and obviously he showed up right away. And now we go to Xfinity, and then the next step, obviously, would be Cup.
Daniel, 3 years ago, you finished third in the K&N E-Series points, and today you're a NASCAR Xfinity Series champion. Could you imagine that looking back?
It's hard to believe. It's hard to believe, but when you are part of an organization like Jockey Racing, and you have a group of guys led by Scott Grace, that obviously he's a great champion, just 2 years in a row. It's just really good. I'm just very proud to be part of this family, of this team. They've been like my family in the U.S. As you guys know, I don't have my real family, my mom and dad in the U.S., so they are my part of my American family. I just live a few miles from the shop, and I go there almost every day because I really enjoy to be there. And I learn a lot being there, learning about the car, learning about everything with Scott, and you know, just being more connected and building that chemistry. I feel like Scott and I, we have come a long ways. In the first half of the year we were good, and in the second half of the year we were great. So that's something really good. I'm really looking forward for our future. But for now, I think I'm just very proud of the performance that Scott and the guys and Jockey Racing they brought to this race. They brought my favorite car. That's the car that I won Michigan with. That's just my baby, and we got it here and we won the championship. So we're just very proud of everyone in the shop, all the guys that they don't get to travel in Jockey Racing, everyone that travel every weekend with us. All the hard work definitely pay off tonight.
Okay, go over here and then back down to Kenny Bruce.
Luis Gonzalez, South Day News Leader. Right over here. Talk about how important this was for you, not only win this Xfinity Series championship, but also to win it here in Homestead, where there's a significant amount of Mexican population down here.
Yeah, definitely it's something really good to win here in Homestead and to have a lot of fans and you know, people from Latin America, Mexicans, all over Latin America is something great for me. And on the side of that, I have my mom, my dad, my family from Houston, my friends from Mexico, my friend Coque over there that I used to race cars with him when I was 13 years old. A lot of friends were here. More than 30 people were here just to have fun with me, to enjoy this weekend. And what a better way to finish this way. I'm just very proud of my team, very proud of everyone that has been helping me to be in this position. And it's still hard to believe this. But we work hard, and this team really deserves this result.
Okay, we'll go to Kenny, then to Reed, and then over to Bob Pockras.
Kenny Bruce from NASCAR coming in. From Coach Gibbs, did you guys have a specific plan laid out for Daniel as far as we want you to run in the Xfinity Series this many years, and then we're looking at doing this and doing that? And does the fact that he's already a champion, does that impact those plans any at all? Because I know you've got 4 guys that don't appear to be going anywhere. So can we expect to see him back in the Xfinity Series next year?
Well, I think we definitely had the plan, but you're never quite sure how fast it goes. And so we laid it out, talked it over with Daniel and Carlos and Jimmy and everybody, and we kind of laid it out as, hey, our next step was going to be to Xfinity. We're in there now, and you know, I think it's going to be pretty quick. We'll be going to Cup. I think it's in Daniel's hands, but obviously he's performed so well. So I think it'll just be, as everybody knows, it's hard to get all that organized, but we're working. That's going to be our end game. That's what we're going to be working for.
Reed Spencer with the NASCAR Wire. Congratulations, Daniel. Did it help you tonight to run the truck race yesterday?
Definitely helped me. And actually, he did help me to race the truck race. That was one of the races that for sure I wanted to do because I knew that I was going to be tired. I went to bed last night at 12:30 in the morning, and it was pretty late, and then I had to wake up at 7:30. So I didn't have a lot of hours of sleep, but I had some good information that I share with my crew chief Scott and with the guys, with my engineers, and I feel like that information helped us for tonight's race. Definitely was something good. Someone else that I really want to thank as well is Ron Hornaday. He helped me early in this year on my wristers. I was horrible at it. I was the worst ever out there on my wristers. One day I got the opportunity to talk to him. I went to his house. He started teaching me some good advice. And after that, I really felt like I was a different driver. And tonight, we won a championship and a race because of restart. So I want to thank Ron Hornaday big time for all his help.
All right, we'll go to Bob Pockras.
Bob Pockras, ESPN. I have two questions for you, Daniel. First, you talked about when you first came to the U.S. that your main goal is to learn English. So I'm curious, what was the most difficult thing about learning English? Was it more difficult than learning how to restart?
Well, definitely my biggest problem in the beginning when I moved to the U.S. just 4 years ago, it was the language because I didn't speak any English. A lot of people in Mexico really do speak English, but I didn't have the opportunity to learn English when I was young. So when I moved to the U.S., I was more focused in the beginning to learn how to communicate with everyone than to learn how to drive. And the first year, it was very, very tough because I just felt like as a driver, I wasn't going anywhere. But obviously, I was learning slowly how to communicate. So it was a very tough transition. My family was a huge part of it. My friends, I was by myself without a lot of support, honestly, without money, without sponsor at the time. And then I had the opportunity with the Drive for Diversity. So I feel like I really feel like this moment doesn't feel very, very real right now. But I really feel like we came long ways in a short period of time. So I'm very proud of everyone that has been part of this process. A lot of friends, a lot of sponsors, obviously Coach Gibbs, Joe Gibbs Racing, Scott Graves, and the guys. And it's been great. So hopefully we can keep this up for whatever is going to be in our future next year.
And does winning an Xfinity title make the possibility of Racing Cup for you kind of more of a reality?
Well, at the end of the day, that's the goal, to move with the big guys and to learn from the big guys. Xfinity obviously is a great series where you get to race with some of the big guys and most of the time with the most important drivers from Cup, but you never race with all of them. So I'm pretty sure that the Cup car is going to be different, and to race with all those guys at the same time is going to be even more difficult. But who knows? We have to, like I said before, in the last months and early today, we have to focus on today, and tomorrow is going to take care by itself.
Hey, Daniel, as we did in Michigan, I'm going to ask you a couple questions in English, and if you could answer in Spanish, and remember the camera up there. First of all, what is the impact that you think your win will have on your country? And tell us a little bit about how you first learned about NASCAR and decided that was going to be your goal to race as a NASCAR champion.
Pues bueno, primero que nada agradecer a toda la gente de México y toda Latinoamérica que me han estado apoyando a lo largo de mi carrera. Ha sido un año de mucho trabajo y mucho sacrificio, corriendo prácticamente todos los fines de semana de noviembre, de febrero a noviembre. Y solamente estoy muy contento, muy contento de estar en esta posición, de poder estar en un equipo como Joe Gibbs Racing, el Toyota número 19 Harris. El día de hoy hizo un trabajo extraordinario, todo el equipo estuvo muy fuerte. Hace apenas un mes me tocó estar en México, un DF, para la presentación del nuevo patrocinador de NASCAR México, y yo me sentí impresionado con la reacción que tuve con todos los medios mexicanos, que obviamente conozco la mayoría de ellos. Es algo muy padre que todo ese apoyo de la gente que me conoce por alguna u otra razón de las carreras pueda tener todo ese apoyo. Entonces, muy agradecido con todos ustedes y esperemos que esto sea el principio de mucho.
And I know you're really proud to be the first foreign-born winner in NASCAR, the first Mexican winner, the first Latin American winner. What's the impact that you've already felt over even the first hour back in your home country?
Pues bueno, simplemente aquí hay dos fotógrafos de México que me han seguido por toda mi carrera desde aquellos días que estaba corriendo en NASCAR México, cuando Jimmy Morales apenas estaba empezando a creer en mí. Entonces es algo padre ver que toda esa gente que me ha visto crecer poco a poco y me han estado apoyando, lo sigan haciendo y que lo que fue un proyecto hace 4 o 5 años, el día de hoy es una realidad. Estoy muy contento por eso y como ya lo dije, espero que esto sea el principio de algo muy grande y que juntos lo podamos disfrutar.
All right, we'll go back to Jerry Jordan, and then here in the front row, and then over to Jim Utter.
You're right, Dan. Jerry Jordan, Performance Racing Network, kicking the tires. Daniel, the sign behind you says names are made here. You were part of the D4D program, the Drive for Diversity program. How important was that program, and what can that program do to other or for other drivers in Mexico and across all diversities to prove that where you are right now?
Listen, 5 years ago, when I moved to the U.S. the very first time, I tried to do everything by myself. I had a couple of sponsors from Mexico, and really I wanted to race and to be successful. And I went to the K&N series, and I didn't speak English then, and I tried to do it by myself, and just didn't work out. I was learning English, but I wasn't going anywhere. I was very, very close to go back to Mexico, to my country, because I just didn't feel like I was good enough. The second year, I gave myself another shot with the NASCAR Drive for Diversity program. The first year was a lot about adaptation, a lot about keep learning English. And by the second half of the year, we were winning races. We finished top 3 like 7 times in a row, and we finished 3rd in the championship. So everything started to get much better. I was part as well of the NASCAR Next 9 program, and that right now is called the NASCAR Next program. And I just had I started to have a huge support from NASCAR. And the second year in the Drive for Diversity program, we won in Daytona and we won in New Smyrna, which I think was huge for myself and for the team. And after that, I just feel like a lot of support started to come, and a lot of people in Mexico that didn't believe a lot in what a Latin American driver was able to do here in the U.S. They started to look to NASCAR in the U.S. as an option. And a lot of drivers are coming now. A lot of drivers are trying to go to apply to the Drive for Diversity program. They're trying they're racing in the K&N series, which I think is something really good. A lot of drivers tried to do that in the past, and they did a really good job. But for one or another reason, just things didn't work out. And right now, it seems like that little path is going to the right direction with us and without some other young drivers that are following what we are doing through the Drive for Diversity program.
Okay, we'll go here and then over to Jim Utter.
Daniel, it's Pablo Schneider with Latino Leaders Magazine. There are about 58 million Hispanics in the U.S., nearly 1 in 5 of the population of the entire country. And as a role model of high performance and perseverance, what's your message to the U.S. Hispanic population, in particular the young people who would see you as a role model?
Well, I just feel very lucky. I feel very lucky to be in this position and to be with a team like Jockey Racing in the 19 group with Scott and the guys. I just feel very lucky. The very first time that I was going to move to the States, a lot of people told me that it was going to be difficult because I was a Mexican driver and nobody else made it happen in the past. And right now, honestly, that I can tell that to be a Mexican driver or Latin American driver is something positive. I really feel like a lot of sponsors had a lot of support on me. They've been they've been very interested to help me and to grow with me, and that's something just great for me. Like I said, when the second year that I was here and that I become part of the Drive for Diversity, I was part of the NASCAR Next 9 program, and I don't feel like I was good enough. I don't feel like I was good enough to race with In the time was Chase Elliott, Derek Wallace, Ryan Blaney, all those guys. I didn't feel like I was good enough, but NASCAR gave me a shot. So I feel like being a driver from Mexico and Latin America is being giving me more opportunities than what I was expecting in the beginning.
Hey, Coach, could you answer that question as well from a role model perspective, what you think about Daniel?
For me?
Yeah.
The thing I'd say about Daniel, for all young people out there, he probably, he mentioned being part of the family. He actually obeys me more than my two boys do, JD and Coy. So, I mean, if you tell Daniel to be in the weight room, and Jimmy is tough on him sometimes and tells him what he needs to do, and the sponsors, even if it's another sponsor that's not even on his car, he will show up at the events we have, whether it's bowling or anything else. And so I just say to young people out there, if you have that kind of work ethic and that kind of a person and that kind of character, and he just mentioned, he taught himself English. How do you do that? And how do you go to a country, and not really have support there? Don't speak the language. It tells you what kind of guts he's got. And so I say to young people out there, if they have a dream and they're totally committed to it, that's the path, and I think Daniel's a perfect example of somebody that can be a role model. And I think that's what's neat about our sport, is that young people can actually look at him. He can become a star for them, knowing that he's not going to embarrass them, his sponsor, or anybody else, because he's that kind of a person.
Question, Mr. Utter?
Jim Utter, motorsport.com. Daniel, you talked a lot about a lot of the struggles and difficulties you've had to get where you are today. I'm just curious, what is it about the NASCAR competition of wanting to compete in NASCAR that would that enticed you to go through all that you had to in order to be here? What was it about this that drives you to continue to make those sacrifices to do this?
Well, I love the challenge of everything, and when I had the opportunity to move to the U.S. to race NASCAR, for me was a big challenge, maybe the biggest challenge of my life. And NASCAR, I can say that is the most difficult racing sport in the world. It's just the competition is super tight. I have had the opportunity to race in Europe in karts and to race in some other parts of the world, and in NASCAR it's just unbelievable. It's just super close with everything in the competition. It's just something that you don't see in other series, and I love the big challenge. I really do, and I like to do things, to put challenge, to put goals in myself, and obviously NASCAR was one of them. And when my dad and Jimmy Morales they told me about NASCAR and they gave me that option in my racing career, I didn't think about it twice, and we took it and we started working in a soccer racing. In the beginning I wasn't sure, but the first time ever that I raced in the US, I said, man, this is the real deal. This is tough. To race inches from the wall, to race in the middle, to race in the bottom, to race in the top, to have a spotter, and to be able to have that chemistry with all the people in your team and your spotter, it's tough. And NASCAR is difficult, and I like that. And I think that's one of the big part that why I'm here, obviously with a great team and with a great group of guys working hard.
We'll wrap up. Daniel, would you please give a message to your fans in Spanish to wrap up the session tonight?
Muchas gracias a toda la gente que nos ha estado apoyando a lo largo de todo este año, a toda la gente de México, toda Latinoamérica. Me siento muy agradecido por todo su apoyo. El día de hoy juntos escribimos historia. Estoy muy contento por todo el gran apoyo. Espero que sea el principio de algo muy padre. Muchas gracias por todo su apoyo. El día de hoy lo festejamos juntos. Muchas gracias.
Thanks, Scott. Thank you, man.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Daniel. Thank you.
I'm a little wet. Thank you.
It's all right.
Real quick, we're going to do a quick snap with you for Snapchat, then we'll take you back to class.